Martin, just while I'm on the subject, Bournemouth, who we know have been finding life somewhat tough back in the Premier League, they picked up a vital 3 points at the weekend. They beat Newcastle by 2-0, and it moves them for the time being away from relegation trouble. Do you think it will move them in the fullness of time away from the relegation area for good? Do you think this is a start for Bournemouth?
Well, it's certainly a start. That's a great victory against Newcastle. Well deserved, actually. And so they've got 9 points on the board. First thing the manager would be looking at is just see who's down below, see how those results have gone over the weekend. Yeah, it's a start. It's a big win, 3 points. But like 3 points, you're a third into the season at this minute. There are loads of games still to play. You're looking at the number of points that you might be able to pick up. That was a big win for them. Yeah. If they had been playing that game maybe a fortnight earlier, you'd have had to think, Newcastle, great form. They hit Newcastle at a good time, if there's such a thing. Does still have to win the games. So are they in a position then to look forward? Yeah, why not? Yeah,
Sammy, you look at it. I mean, will this result be felt most strongly at the likes of Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton? I mean, are they in danger of being cut adrift by Christmas?
Too early to say. I mean, I think Sheffield United are actually getting themselves together a little bit and starting to pick up a few results and starting to get some results that their performances probably have merited. OK, they've gotten beaten 8 and they've gotten beaten 5 or 6 or whatever it was. And those 2 games will stick in the minds of people saying that they shouldn't be in the division or they're not good enough to be in the division. But in a lot of other games, like Spurs, like Man City, they've been very much in those games. And you've got this feeling about Sheffield United once the Heckingbottom question is answered and we haven't got Chris Wilder hanging in the background like a vulture waiting to jump into that job and the owner's committed behind his manager, you might see that the club pulls together, because there's something about Sheffield United that always, to me, smacks of an honest group of players that are going to give it and put it and make teams beat them a bit more difficult to play against than a lot of the other opposition currently are. I think Luton are a little bit more in that mould. I think Burnley are easier to play against because Vincent Kompany has made his mind up. He's going to play in a certain way, and every week until the 38th game it's going to be a learning lesson, and when they're relegated he's going to be able to tell everyone what lessons he's learned. But that's his choice and that's their choice. Bournemouth, you look at that game and say, well, they've just come back after getting smashed by Manchester City 6-1. Some of those players could be feeling sorry for themselves, or the backstory could have been that you're playing Man City, so leave it to the side and move on to the next game. They've gotten some decent results recently. They've been in games and they caught Newcastle a very lacklustre, an uninspired Newcastle that I'm sure had lots of players injured, like other football clubs had. But if you look what was on the pitch should have been good enough to have been given a far more compelling performance. And there comes the balance in the argument that we're about to have about whether Kieran Trippier was right to go and have that conversation with the fans. Depends what you think fans are. Depends if you think that fans are only there to give you praise.
Well, Simon, you've taken me very nicely to it. And Kieran Trippier kind of bit back at some of the flack the Newcastle players were taking at the end of that game. This was a Newcastle side that went in against Bournemouth on Saturday evening. Nick Pope in goal, Trippier, Lascelles, Shah, Lewis Hall, Longstaff, Miley Willock, Almiron, Anthony Gordon, Joel Linton. Was that a Newcastle side that the fans who travelled 6 hours, 24 minutes, 354 miles to support, was that the side that the fans felt, they'll pick up 3 points down at Bournemouth? As Simon says, Trippier had a little nip back at some of the flack that the fans threw their way on full time.
So we're allowed to work in everything? Yes, sir. How many inches have we got? How many inches have we got?
How many injuries have we got? That was Kieran Trippier shouting back to the Newcastle fans. How many injuries have we got? Now, has he got a point? Is he right to do that? Or should he just give it, I'm sorry, you've travelled from far and wide, we've let you down, see you next time?
Yes and no. I like to think that fans support you in good and bad times, because you're going to have bad times, and the expectation level is that fans only celebrate when they're winning. So there's got to be a priced-in thinking that sometimes you're going to lose. But you can't turn around and say that fans are something that are very valuable to you. We all missed them during COVID until they say something we don't like. I would think he'd have been better left just leaving it. They've put in a bad performance. The fans have travelled and spent a lot of money. The players are very well rewarded and very well recognised and lionised by their fans on most occasions. I think they can take, just every now and again, a little bit of criticism. And then, you know what? It's not fair. Well, life's not fair. It doesn't work that way, does it? Sometimes people say things to you disagree with, and you just have to get on with it. I don't think that he needed to go over on the basis of what I've seen. I don't think he needed to have gone over and confront the fans.
Yeah.
It's not a conversation you're going to win, because the fans aren't going to suddenly say, oh, we're sorry that we're not very happy with the outcome of this result, and we actually had come round to your way of thinking while you're belling at us from the touchline. I think that would have been better served leaving it alone.
I think it's hard to argue against Simon on that, Martin. I think he's got a point.
So yes and no. I not for 1 minute am I comparing Wycombe Wanderers to Newcastle United, but I remember at Newcastle or at Wycombe Wanderers in my second year, we were in the Vauxhall Conference, which is the league below the league. So
Okay.
fairly did, and we had taken.
We're not comparing like with
just
like
a minute.
here,
We had
Mr.
taken. I
O'Neill.
think we'd take at home at Adams Park. We had taken 51 out of 57 points. Anyway, we'd drawn this game 2-2. And the team scored a goal in the last minute against us. So I'm walking off, and this fella said to me, "That's not good enough, O'Neill. Just not good enough." And I thought, and I started this rant with him. Oh, where were you before I came to the football club? All that type of stuff, And then thinking that he was in a little enclosure where he'd actually paid. That he had actually got a free ticket. I said to him, I said. It's like a lawyer not knowing the answer to the next question. I said, "Did you pay for your ticket?" And he said, "Yes, I did." And then I looked back and said, "Okay, you're entitled to your criticism." So from a viewpoint, absolutely.
Yeah.
So getting back to Simon's point,
Should Trippier have done that?
I say yes and no. I think that Trippier trying to make the point that they had injuries, and look where we were. Two seasons ago, you're down supporting us. The expectation is very, very high at Newcastle now, and I suppose they did travel a long distance there to see them win against Bournemouth. It just doesn't happen. That's the nature of the game.
I think Martin's nailed it. Expectation is high in that part of the world with Newcastle United now.
At the moment.
But you can't take the benefits of all the wonderful support that you get and the Newcastle fans that will feel that they've endured 11 years or however long it was of Mike Ashley. And now that this new regime that's come in has spent £150 million each season on transfers, there's an expectation that Newcastle would go, if they go to that game, and it's a barnstormer, and Bournemouth come out with a 3-2 win, and Newcastle have left it all out there, and everyone thinks, well, this is one of those games. But the fans clearly didn't think that. Mm-hmm. So you can't say to fans, we value what you say, but only when we think it's fair. Yeah. I mean, that's a ridiculous argument. You've got to take both, haven't you?
That's true. I mean, I'm looking at some of the messages coming in. They said, to be more clear here, and this is from some Newcastle fans who were there on the night at Bournemouth, this was just one Newcastle fan who decided to have a tilt at Trippier and has since apologised for his outburst.
That makes it even worse, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can't have one person say something to you. You've got to have everybody in line. You've got to have everybody bowing and scraping at your feet because you're on £200,000 a week at Newcastle, and currently you're doing your jobs well, whilst the ownership model is giving you an inordinate amount of resources. The fans are behind you in everything that they do, and you can't have one individual shout something. Is that what we've come down to?
I think Simon's right, man. The case in point is even clearer now.
God, blimey.
Hold on. Simon's always right.
Little prima donnas.
Yeah, he has a point. Yeah, he has a point. I'm just saying the expectation is so high now that perhaps maybe the Newcastle fan did not think that the performance was up to scratch.
And he's entitled to that view.
And he's entitled to it.
Again, getting back to my hopeless analogy with Wycombe Wanderers fan. Okay.
Well, I mean, the same fan, no doubt, boarded a bus and thought, right, here's the next 354 miles home. I mean, they went there in numbers. They travelled a long way.
That's exactly right. That's right. Sorry, there's loads of fans who've travelled, quite a number of miles.
Didn't even see a goal, Martin and Neil.
Didn't see a goal. Didn't see two passes. Listen, honestly,
they expect you lots a bit of shift in.
Yeah, I've been manager of one of those teams that hasn't done that.
I just think that there's not. I'd like to see fans always supporting the team, and I'm not always motivated by hearing fans being dissentful the moment they don't get precisely what they think they're entitled to, because it happens. People have bad days, right? But you can't. I just don't think the look is right. And I know we don't want to be in a world of optics all the time, but why is there a necessity for Kieran Trippier to bowl over to the touchline to now be told that he's picking out one fan? What did the fellow have? A megaphone? What was he? Did they wire him into the tannoy so they could hear him around the stadium?
I've come for you, Trippier.
Yeah, I mean, how sensitive have you got to be?
Absolutely.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.